Journey begins with just remember. We have to remember so that the mind is ready for prayer. Prayer is remembering the real self, or you can say Mangalacharan or auspiciousness. But how we enter into that state of Mangalacharan all the time? So my mind is tuned to remembering all the time. No, if it doesn't happen, then the likes and dislikes, joy and the sorrow, then the ignorance will take over. That is what it has been happening since our birth. Can you tell me anybody who has a full knowledge that he or she is a human being at the time of the birth? And that is why it means clear that we started our journey in ignorance, and gradually we created an identity. What is that identity? I'm a man or a woman, this is, that is, this color, this attribute, that attribute, and those everything came from the world outside. It accumulated in the mind. Intellect put that into an order, and then intellect says, this is my name, I'm a man, I'm rich, I'm poor, I'm good, I'm bad. How unlimited attributes. Do you know who you are before you say I am rich? Do you know who you are before you say I am poor? Do you know who you are before you say you are man and women? But it has been so much mechanical and habitual, we take everything for granted. That means we are already living in ignorance. And it is so deep that we do not want to get rid of this ignorance, rather than we challenge what is real self. What should be done? All our questions are challenging. What is real? Ask any question. Any question. I want to know what is real self. Who is speaking? Tell me first, before you want to know the real self. This, we have not gone to that level of awareness, and that is why we don't become a seeker. My standpoint is so simple. The ignorant person asks or seeks an answer that I see the wall. Yes, you see the wall. I see my honey. Yes, I see my honey. Why I can't see the real self? You prove, you bring the real self in front of me. Then I will see. But they forget, if I is one eye brings the second eye in front of itself, then there will be a continuous struggle. Which one is the real eye? What it means? I want to see the real self in front of me. So it means there are two eyes. One eye here recognizes whether the other eye is real or not. We do not want to understand. So what happens, that is why the master says we should remember the satsang, listening and learning these principles from a teacher who personalizes, and followed by the contemplation, reflection, and the practice. So that is all together is known as satsang. Literal meaning of the satsang is to know the real. company of the real. But I don't know what is real, so I'm preparing myself. I keep on doing it, listening, learning, contemplation, and reflection. What happens? There is a revelation. What is that revelation? That revelation is detachment. You are minimizing the impact of likes and dislikes, joy and the sorrow, pain and the pleasure, victory and the defeat. Your mind reveals that by naturally. But what has to be done? Common sense approach. You keep on, continue listening and learning, contemplation and reflection. So satsang results into nissanga. Nissanga means detachment. Detachment means the mind is constantly subjected to likes and dislikes, coming from the joy and the sorrow, coming from the superimposition. I have already discussed that I have given a reality status to the world, and it comes by default. We want to see, we want that knowledge which is subjected by the likes and dislikes. So nissang, with that state, now the I thought is not working with these dualities and the conflict. Then this I thought works with these principles. That is another part. That is why. So then what happens? It starts working. Then you have a dispassion, the vairagya. So detachment, you can compare detachment for discernment. I have to get detached from something. You keep on thinking, reflecting. No, I'm not saying get detached with your honey. Anyhow, so detached discernment, viveka. But you have to see that why this detachment, why only this girl is my honey, not others. And why shouldn't I live in relationship with Viveka and Vairagya? How many times you remember your restroom, but you are related to restroom in your house, kitchen, bedroom, car? But some people get attached to the car. Some people have certain, some people who gets deeply attached with the restroom, and if you go to their restroom, you find a big bookshelf. They claim that they always study in the restroom. Unnecessary. Continue to study in the restroom. Remain focused, be aware, choose the topic, and then study. Now see what they say, they don't have time. At least you cannot ignore clearing your bowels, for which you have a time. So the mind that has to will to clearing the bowels, it should gather the energy into the lower part of the body, is now gathered in reading some newspaper. And then I claim I do multitasking. Keep on doing the multitasking. You continue to live in ignorance. So satsang, what happens? You're listening and learning, and ultimately you see the dissociation. You see the separateness by contemplation and reflection. You see some kind of separateness. So that very awareness of the separateness is discernment, and that results into detachment. You continue the journey, it results into a dispassion, and the dispassion results into Nisasangatve, nirmohatvam, nischaltatvam. The mind feels that it is naturally steady. It is not going anywhere. Even if it is going anywhere, it is not attached. It does not have a preference of likes and dislikes. It is not causing any identity. It is not creating any impression. So that state of the mind is the highest purity of the mind, where it lives in the state of the purity, and ultimately we realize our real self. In that process, we remember, see that what is the goal of life? Only one goal. Now I have 5 goals. One goal of life to find the real self, other 4 goals means you have already given a reality status to the world. Now, if you have only one goal, will the mind wander anywhere? So I have to contemplate and reflect and remind myself only one goal of life. And that is the common desire for every living species. Oh, that will bring an end to the suffering and awaken me to the real self. That is known as the moksha or the nirvana. No, but what is nirvana? Self-knowledge. Self-knowledge. One word. Self-knowledge. So what a journey looks like? In direct self-knowledge you receive from the teacher and the text. And the direct knowledge means that you realize, you experience, you know that. No, but who can receive the indirect knowledge? Who is the seeker? You see, simple one-liner answer. You should remember this answer, and you should check your mind again and again during the journey. And your mind is getting upset and angry inside. It has yet to manifest outside. And suddenly you remember. End of suffering. Anger is also suffering. No, I received an indirect knowledge. I have to work on this. No, I am a seeker. The mind comes up. We have no teaching in Eastern wisdom about anger management. Now, modern people do anger management, and they keep on. Management means that you cannot get rid of the anger. Any management, mismanagement, product management, software management, etc. So they have used the word anger management, stress management. So it means the stresses will continue in my life. See the entire journey. We are just talking the fourfold practices, so I'm putting in a different perspective. So you are upset and suddenly you remember all these, indirect knowledge. I have an indirect knowledge that I receive. Real self is of the nature of peace and happiness. And I thought says that now I'm going to get upset and angry. Separation, the discernment comes. End of the suffering. No, this is the suffering. No. Your mind reminds you that there is no suffering in the matter. There is no suffering in the consciousness. So that suffering lives in delusion. That anger is living in the delusion. So unless I recognize by contemplating and reflecting and repeating these thoughts consciously, it will not change. So that is why we have a binary format. We are 100% clear. The mind has no doubt there is only binary format. One is matter, other is consciousness. And because I am conscious of so many things, hence I am consciousness. But in order to remove that sense of ignorance or the impurity in the mind, Mangalacharan, I remember. The prayer is just remembering, worship is remembering, meditation is just self-remembering. I have repeated many a times that in Buddhism, Eightfold Noble Path, the seventh step is known as the Samyak Smriti, is translated in the Western world as a mindfulness practice. But the seventh of the Eightfold Noble Path, the Buddha says it is Samyak Smriti. Samyak means right, Smriti means memory. I'm recalling what is the right memory. What is right memory? I'm the real self. I'm consciousness. Is that the prayer that you... Yes, that is the highest prayer. When? All the time. Where? In all locations. With whom? In all the relationships. So I thought an ego prevents me to say this prayer in front of the honey. Why? We know why. Let us do it mentally. I'm not saying do it. Don't ask the honey to sit on the hard chair and then you say that you are the goddess. No, internally. Why internally? Because I have to change that very movement of the thinking process supported by the ignorance and the I thought. What helps me? I have to become a seeker. So that is why every master says directly or indirectly, you have to do the fourfold practices. Viveka, Vairagya, six treasures or Shat Sampatti. Then when you follow all the three, what happens? There is an intense desire to know the real self. The goal of the life is never forgotten. And you can support it by the nature of the real self. It is of the nature of permanent happiness. Okay, let me see which entity in the world is in the state of permanent happiness. Nothing. Constantly changing. So by thinking and reflecting like this helps you to raise your bar of discernment, then dispassion, then the sixth treasure comes. So that is why we have studied all these topics before we started. Whether you say it is a permanent happiness, it's a permanent illuminator. The sun is not a permanent illuminator. So third attribute is it's a self-luminous. Self-luminous means it knows by itself. It knows itself by itself. That is the direct knowledge. It is all permeating. It is present behind every name and the form. Oh, behind the name and the form of my honey, that real self, that consciousness is present. Then ask the mind, be angry now. Get upset with anyone. Because I am of the nature of consciousness, so everyone is the nature of consciousness behind the name and the form. How can I be angry on myself? How can my right hand can hit the left hand? It will never. It will never. How the right eye has a jealousy against the left eye? Not possible. Not possible at all. So I have to reach to a state of impossibility with the ignorance. The mind, it is the knowledge. It is awareness which says, no way, I'm not doing it. Forget about it. So what is going to happen? I can tell you my own experiences. So you have strong likes and dislikes, you have jealousy, you have hatred, and you have a sense of reaction is already present in the body. and someone says in the family and the reaction triggers. But you are not aware of the entire process. So the reaction, you say, no, you are wrong. Because that trigger was already there in the body and the mind, and I blame others. So discernment helps me to see the right picture. That results into detachment, and if we continue the discernment or the viveka, there is a natural state of the dispassion. Now your honey is watching the TV and you don't like it, so that don't like thought is not creating any trigger of anger or a reaction. You know this is not fair. And one day what happens, you participate there. Ah, this is a wonderful series you are watching. I love it. So I told, this hero, this actor is wonderful. He jumped from the 25th floor. I will also try. So I'm breaking the false nature. So the same way you are, if you have some issues, just as an example, we make our honey, car, and etc., our wife or husband. So we are reflecting there. Oh, this is why mind you are angry or upset. Now you need not to be upset. And ultimately you reach to a state of discernment. That is knowledge, that is awareness, that is understanding. First time you realize that I have given a reality status to the world outside. World belongs to anyone, any person, any location, any situation. Money factor, relationship, etc. Think of it. Contemplate and reflect. So this topic 17 to 20 is all about this dispassion, discernment, six treasures, and the intensity. So the parameter to check whether the process of viveka, vairagya, and the six treasures are going and progressing, that you have a very intense desire. You have only one goal in your mind. I earn money from the business, then only I pay you. No, they are the means. You still keep that means in your life. But recognizing they are the means. Only recognizing. You change your very temperament. You need not to prove to anyone, you have to improve. That moving towards the improvement is the journey of the viveka and vairagya. Seed is unmanifest tree. You prepare yourself to sow the seed by water, fertilizer, plowing the field, and then you forget it. Do everything in the business, forget it. Live in relationship, forget it. When you can forget, when there are no attachment and detachment. If there is an attachment and detachment, then you are not going to forget it. Then the mind will cook a different story. Today he or she behaved properly, that is good. Today everything agreed to me, that is good. So that ignorance is working. We can recognize by thinking, by acting, by responding to the people. That needs to be changed. That is the meaning of improving. So that seed improves, brings the sapling. Without I did not ask that on this day you come out as a sapling, you become a tree, you grow yourself. It follows the natural process. So simply we have not to see this viveka, vairagya, shat sampatti and the intense desire just as a process. It should become natural to the mind. You drop the reality status completely off the world, the mind will follow naturally. Every living species follows the laws of their existence naturally, even except human being, they do not have a power to think. Tiger recognizes his food. See that? Only the human race is the crazy race. We don't recognize. It is because of the lack of discernment. Think, contemplate. So mind becomes so light and so healthy. Oh, it is such an easy way to go. That is the power of discernment. So in the beginning, yes, discernment, we discern, we forget it, we discern, and then we find a sense of dispassion. We also experience six treasures. But fact is that it is so natural to the human intellect. What do you mean by intellect? Intellect means free will. What is the free will? Free will means that I have many options, so I have to choose. What is the best option? What is right and good? So what is right and good for the tiger is chosen by the tiger because the existence has already naturally made him like that. Tiger will not search for a grass. Cows will not search for a flesh. So you cannot say they think and then they choose. If they think and choose, they will put the human race into the prison. They have a choice. Not possible. So once we recognize that power of the intellect offered to us by the existence, discernment is natural. Dispassion is natural. You are going on a straight path and you find the pond. You don't say, let me discern which way to go. You see the other way and you go there. The honey is angry and upset. No, that's not my way. Okay, thank you very much. Let you calm down and then I'll talk to you. I'm ready to talk. He or she becomes more angry, so no problem. It is her problem, it's his problem. You find a very natural way in your day-to-day living. Why I'm saying so? Because of these fourfold practices, 90% of the challenges coming from the world outside drops. And you have 100% time. That is the meaning of Sri Aurobindo says that every problem, every opportunity that your mind perceives is fundamentally an opportunity for you to improve and to evolve, to rise in awareness. He means by discernment and dispassion. It's possible. You wake up in the morning, internally you are extremely aware. Outwardly you are careless, okay. Because why careless? Because I don't give the reality status to the world outside. I don't give it. So in that state of being so seemingly careless outside and extremely alert and aware inside helps you to recognize this is what the discernment is. And that will make me a seeker. Where is the goal of life? To find the real self. And what is real self? Real self is all pervading. When there was nothing, real self was. When there will be nothing, the real self will be. When there is something, body, mind, intellect, and the ego, the real self is still there. So my mind is understanding what is existence today, become non-existent tomorrow is not me. What is perishable? You can say, what is perishable? This master, now I'm going to the teaching of this master, how this master says that. Pot. I see the pot, clay pot. It's perishable. But it was not there before it was made. Now it is there. It will not be there in the future. The cup should not break. We say handle with the care. We don't handle with the care of our mind. That is the problem. We handle with care everything and still it perishes. I handle with care my honey and still my honey hates me. You handle with care anyone, anything in the world. It does not last long. It will never last long. This is what the master is saying. Yeah, in the study of the Viveka. Viveka. See, you get attached because from the past I married or I bought and I purchased, etc., etc. He says you have to see it clearly. Viveka. So he talks in terms of what is perishable. You have to see whether it existed before, now, or in the future. Total non-existence. Mutual non-existent. Opposite of non-existence, the real self is still present. This mouse is here. So my mind says other mouse that I was using is not here. So I prove the non-existence of other mouse in the presence of this mouse. Your honey is present with you? No. So you prove the non-existence of the honey in presence of you. So even if you can prove the mutual non-existence of any object, any person, any relationship, but you cannot disprove the existence of the real self. How come? Can you say, I am not present here? Who is saying? Beauty. He goes so deeper. He says, no way. If I say I am absent here, then who says that I am absent? At least who says that is already present? And that is you. So what happens when we are constantly contemplating, reflecting from a different perspective? This viveka becomes the nature of the mind. And when it becomes the nature of the mind, you have dropped the reality status to the world, because it is constantly changing and it is a false. So every time you think, speak and act in the world, even if you are earning $1 million, what difference? It's okay. You get $1 million today, you are not affected by it. You had some loss today, you are not affected by it. It doesn't mean that you don't make an effort for business, for personal life, for professional life, for social life, family life. Obviously, we have to make that effort, but that does not affect me. Now I am a free bird. That needs to be there. That sense of makes me the highest level of a seeker. This is what I have already covered, that what he says. Now we're just talking about exactly. Yeah, there are 4 levels of that is okay. Viveka alone. Now he says that Viveka alone is the basis of the other 3 qualifications. Because if I don't have a Viveka, then the Vairagya will not come. But I can become a hypocrite. I can claim to the society that I have a lot of dispassion outside, but inside I'm burning. I'm constantly fighting. There were 2 monks, I told you before also, the old monk and the young monk. They were crossing the river to go to a village to beg for their food, ordered by their master. Before crossing the river, they both saw a beautiful girl, and she was scared to cross the river. The old monk, who claimed that I have 30 years of experience learning from a teacher, he said, no, I will not see the girl. My master told me it creates a passion for opposite sex. I'm not attached, but he is already attached because he has closed his eyes. Young monk saw in difficulty, talked to that girl, put her on in his shoulder, and they both crossed the river. After half an hour, the old and the young monk were traveling. After half an hour, that event has already gone. The old man says that I will complain you against you to my master. You have committed a sin. And the young monk says that, which girl? I forgot completely. And you are still carrying her in your mind? We should always remember this story. If I still have something to settle, the score to settle in reaction, anger, hesitation, or passion, I have yet to work on my mind to reach to a state of dispassion. Again and again. For any object, for any business, for any husband or a wife or a daughter, I am a free bird. Free bird, so I will tell them no. So what should I do when the daughter comes? I'm father. Let me play my role the best possible way. So I'm playing a role. That means I'm already in dispassion. This is what he points out, that he says, no, you cannot take a luxury until you reach to the highest level of a viveka. Viveka alone is the basis of other 3 qualifications. That is what he says. Yes, that is one thing that he says. He says that in the absence of Viveka, the other 3 will not be there in your life. That is the meaning of this story. Viveka, Vairagya, Shat Sampatti, and the intense desire. So in Kans, he says all likes and dislikes is opposite of Vairagya. Any life. We have started our journey by the likes and dislikes caused by the joy and the sorrow, superimposed by the world outside, claiming the world is real. This is the sequence. Why I make an effort? Because I like it. But why I like it? To get happiness. You don't do anything to receive pain. So he says that we have to work on what are the things I like. But now these likes and dislikes will remain throughout your life. Now these likes and dislikes are not binding. Is dispassion. Is binding. Is binding is passion. That is going to cause you the problem. Likes and dislikes will remain. You are living there in your country, so since your childhood you know which food you like. But if the likes and dislikes is dictating over me, that is the problem. But if the likes and dislikes do not cause any issue, do not cause a series of the thoughts, do not lead me to attachment, then I'm okay. I will not see this guy from today. So strong dislike. So now it is a binding dislike. Like and dislike is nothing but desire. Just think of that. It is nothing but a desire. So any binding desire is causing you, I will not meet this guy from today. Anyhow, this girl told me in the group session, I told you that she said, that is done. She also told, and then what happens, I kept on sending the group audio and the video. And then she kept on sending the money. But it becomes very difficult for the ego to return and to become a humble to accept my ignorance. So I saw the day before yesterday, I said, oh, she is still sending the money. So you see that you are showing a sense of humility, but your ego that is built on your likes and dislikes is not going to dissolve. Unless you dissolve, you are not a seeker. You don't have that sense of humility. And the humility comes only because of discernment, viveka. So I want to see how long it happens. But anyhow, I'm benefited by both. Do you see that? That is how deeper we have to go. So he explains in a little different way. That too is very, very enlightening. We give a value to any object, any person, any situation, any relationship. We give a value. Who gives the value? Who is this we? The mind. Why it gives the value? By default, without non-thinking, without thinking. It is in the mode of a non-thinking. Say, for example, you are sitting in on a beach, and you see the sun and the sky and the earth are meeting together. Oh, what a beautiful scene! I like it. By default. You have heard about the Miss Universe. Oh, she is the Miss Universe. She is in front of you, so you have a liking without thinking. So that non-thinking means that mind gives a value. The moment I give a value, I have declared that this world is real. It happens in a fraction of a millisecond. I don't notice. It becomes, it happens to all of us, We are married even for 20 years, and then we see another girl and we get attracted to it. We have already given a value. I was giving a lesson to, he said, nobody is going to love me because, there's no question. I have long beard. So it's all, you see that value. Value is given unconsciously, habitually, impulsively. The moment the value is given, mind says, now I will be happy in the presence or acquiring it or possessing it. So what is going to happen when you are practicing Viveka and Vairagya and these 6 treasures? You will recognize that how come, I fought with so many people, I reacted, they were just not required. So that gives you a push to your mind to live into the higher awareness. Oh, no way. Now this is done. I'm not going to do that based on the given value. Gita talks in detail about this is a syndrome. Syndrome caused by the 3 diseases of the mind. We will take up that later when he talks about the Gita. It is attachment and detachment, because I have given a value to it, because that value is seeking happiness, but I get the pain, and that causes the pleasure and the pain duo, victory and the defeat. And ultimately it creates a delusion. So raga, shoka and moha, Gita says these 3 creates. So what happens with that? Now I am in ignorance. So what happens with the ignorance? So ignorance causes the desire. Cycle starts. And desire puts me into making an effort. Honey, please agree with me. I didn't mean that. I never hurt you. It is pure a sense of attachment. Anything. Honey may be an object or a car. But we never say to the car, I never hurt you, and you are not working. So in one case we express the sense of attachment, but in other it is already there, because now I feel pain, the car is not working. In other way, that car is the honey is not working according to my wish, according to the value I have given to that. It is very dangerous. It prevents you to live in the state of the dispassion. This is what he says, he explains in that way. Viveka is must to purify the mind, otherwise we will suppress like the old monk. So there is a choice. I have to do the Viveka, so the suppression is rejected, sublimation takes place. Sublimation. Chemistry word or physics word. So any dispassion, absence of discernment, any vairagya, absence of viveka is suppression. They are together, sublimation. So when we live into that state of viveka and vairagya all the time, I have already explained, so your mind should work on this. Reality, status, value, looking, making an effort. So Gita, Krishna explains beautifully. Rag, shok, moha. Raga means attachment, detachment. Shoka means grief, suffering, stress, struggle, and delusion, moha. So I am in moha. So moha results into ignorance. So Gita says avidya. Avidya is ignorance. So when I live in ignorance, then what I have to do? Don't do anything. Your mind will continue to make an effort to find the peace and happiness in the world, which is not there. So you continue to make an effort. You get stressed, and you try to. Then you go for self-medication. What is self-medication? I have added that part, which is referred in somewhere else in the Gita. So now what is that self-medication? That, self-medication means you go to the pharmacy store and you say, give me these pills, without prescription medication. We have been using these prescription medication since we claim that we became mentally and emotionally mature. If I eat this, I will have a sound sleep, self-medication. Marriage and divorce, self-medication. I will fire you, then only my business will be all right, self-medication. Other medication is drinking, vodka, etc., etc., getting frustrated. So you see what he explains, that when Viveka and Vairagya is there, then the mind starts rethinking with reference to any object that the sense pleasure is not worth giving any value. That is how he explains. Any object, I am getting a pleasure, so I don't want to give any value to it. Well, now that value is lost. Value is lost means what? You have sama, you have dhamma, both together. 6 treasures. Sama, mental calmness, mind is 100% available. Dhamma, withdrawal of the sense organs. 6 treasures. Sam, dham. So this master says something beautiful, which appeals to me also, but much later it appealed to me, not in the beginning. So other master says sam dham uparati, means first treasure is calmness of the mind, second treasure is withdrawal of the mind, third is withdrawal of the mind from the world, and fourth is the endurance or the tapa, and then the fifth, he says, the other masters are saying, is the faith. Faith, now you have a conviction inside, and ultimately samadhana. So here the master says, this master, sama, dhamma and shraddha. Shraddha means the faith. It says the beautiful thing. He is demanding that we should live in higher awareness whenever you get upset and you don't know the reason. You have a mood swing, you don't know the reason. Some incident, some accident, event takes place in your life which you cannot find the cause. It happens due to the vasana, past impression, karma share. In those moments of your life, your mind is able to maintain the faith of the real self. So he says that when your mind starts living in the first 2 treasures, the sama and the sama means mind is available to me 100%, and I can easily withdraw my mind from any object because I don't give any value to it. So they both result into the faith. This is what he says. So he does not say that you keep on practicing uparati and you keep on doing the tapa, you need to control, do the mantra japa. There are many practices. He says no, it's not required. So you can check yourself, is it possible? If it is possible, sama and dhamma is at the higher level. I am not able to take my mind out of the sense organ which gives the value to the world. That simply means the vairagya is not complete. Vairagya is why Vairagya is not complete, because the Viveka is not complete. Again I am repeating. I am not able to take the mind out of the sense organ that has given a value to any object outside. So either I will suppress it in my life, in my daily activities, or I sublimate it. Sublimation is the way of Viveka and Vairagya. I had a wonderful student, whenever he used to go to the store, and there he used to see those girls, even with his wife, and he became totally steady, and eyes were open, and he started staring. And sometime he got many slapping. So his wife knew that he is a wonderful guy. Many times it happens. Sometimes the people, those who control it, they return home, they suppress it. In both ways, they are doing something wrong. So Samadhamma, Master says that the moment you are doing the Viveka and Vairagya, the Samadhamma helps you to take yourself out of that situation, condition. Go far away. Internally, you go too far. Because now you have not given a value, so the sense of attachment is not there, you are too far. That is the sure way to find the success. This is what he talks about. If it doesn't happen, you go back to Viveka and Vairagya again. This is what he says. Why? Because at different times the Viveka and Vairagya help you to live into that state, and that knowledge is already present, so you have to remember that knowledge so that the Samadhamma will take place naturally. You need not to fight. In many cases, why you are totally, you don't give any value to one girl, why you give value to the other girl? So differentiate it. It is, in one case there is a Viveka and Vairagya, in other case there is no Viveka and Vairagya. What a beautiful way he presents it. He goes very deep into the Eastern, to the psychology of the mind, functions of the mind. Now I have no problem with that girl, but I have problem with this girl. So there comes the Viveka and Vairagya. Mind returns again and again what teachers said or taught from the text. So you have to receive the knowledge again and again, realize, retain the knowledge. So once you, what it means, it simply means you rise in awareness. You stop your obsession and suppression. You stop your obsession and suppression with the family or anything in the world. Now at home you are so casual, and outside you are casual. The Master says when you recognize this casualness, that is the journey of titiksha, tapasya, endurance. So endurance should not be forced. I remind you, you will remember, I will not eat this, then I will become spiritual. You are already spiritual. You are already spiritual. So this Master breaks up that shell of ignorance, endurance. Now when he says Uparati, he says the Uparati, the fifth. Uparati, he says you do Nitya and the Naimitya karma. Finished. So he added the Nitya and the Naimitya karma here. He said, remember what is Nitya karma, do it. Naimitya karma, do it. You know the definition, you know the understanding. So what happens? That results into the sixth one. The sixth one is Samadhanam. samadhanam. So what happens? Mind say, this is another. I love this topic. So then master says that you have a kind of resolve in your mind naturally. You have a resolve. What is that resolve? The mind keeps on repeating that thought whenever your mind goes to the attachment and detachment. This is the goal of life. I am living in a higher level of awareness. Beyond this attachment and detachment, I have a sense of the freedom, and my only goal is left is the intense desire for the real self. That intense desire, the frequency never fades. Intensity never goes down. Another part, recovery period is fast. What is that recovery? Your mind has gone into something, given the value, and suddenly you remember and you start living into that awareness. So from here we are stopping, so we will continue with this. Mumuksha is very important. So here he divides the degree of intense desire are threefold. So there, but before that he will explain in deeply that you have given so many practices. What do you mean? You have fourfold practices and the six treasures. You always guide different practice of meditation. Then I have already heard and did the practice of asana, pranayama, mudra. I have done kundalini. Can you put that into a sequence, into an order? Master says yes. Which one is more important? Which one is external? Which one is internal? These are the other topics that we need to understand clearly, so that we know that where